It's time for todaysstocks.com with host Pat Bolland.
Joining me now, Lara Fritts, Chief Executive Officer of Community Redevelopment, Inc., CRDV. Lara, a pleasure to meet you.
Pat, such a pleasure to see you. Thank you for having me.
Tell me about CRDV, Community Redevelopment. Interesting name.
Yeah, so community redevelopment really is founded on that principle of helping to improve communities through housing. We do that in urban centers as well as first-tier suburbs.
Okay, what's interesting about this is I believe, when doing my research, that you're the first publicly traded company doing that. Am I correct?
I'm not sure if we're the first publicly traded company to do real estate specifically around housing, but we are definitely one of the first that are doing what is called naturally occurring affordable housing.
What does that mean?
Oh, I love that you asked me that question, Pat. Naturally occurring affordable housing means that we're developing housing that is affordable without taking public subsidy. And why is that important? It's important because there is a housing crisis going on both regionally here in the Washington, D.C. metro area, but also nationally. And getting housing into the market faster is critical. Going through tax credits, things like you've probably heard of LIHTC, well, wonderful programs and do provide for additional capital into construction projects. Those are time consuming to receive. They're competitive. It can take up to 2 years to receive tax credits. Because of the model that we've deployed, we're able to put housing into the market faster. And for our shareholders, why is that important? It's important because we're able to generate income off of properties faster because we're building them quicker.
I also noticed that you're doing joint ventures with women and minorities in particular. Is that an overall strategy?
It is absolutely an overall strategy for community redevelopment. We are a very diverse team. In fact, I am abundantly aware of the importance of being one of the only women who are doing real estate on the OTC market and leading a real estate company. And we want to make sure that we're uplifting not only communities through housing, but we're also uplifting women and minority developers.
And Lara, you've got a boatload of experience raising billions of dollars in half a dozen public-private partnerships, triple Ps as they call them, where the government is actually involved. Tell me how that informs your role as CEO.
Pat, it's amazing to me how many similarities there are between the public sector and the private sector. I think too often people who are in the public sector don't necessarily understand business. And yet I think those that are in the private sector often dismiss the people who are working in local government. But yet there's so many similarities, especially at a public company. If you think about working in government, you're responsible to the residents of that community. Yet in a public company, I'm responsible to the shareholders who are like residents. So
Right.
There are many similarities.
And yet here you are running a public company, so you're responsible to the shareholders, correct?
Yes, I'm absolutely. Did I say it wrong?
No, that's right. I just wanted to be sure.
Yes, no, absolutely. And, being responsible to shareholders holds a lot of responsibility, just like being responsible to city government.
Yeah. Let's talk about one of your projects, Annapolis. And you created a subdivision, I believe, called Artistry. Why would you create a structure like that?
Yeah, so in community redevelopment, we have 3 entities that fall underneath the company. The first is Artistry, and Artistry is our build and renovate for rent. Again, we know that there's a housing crisis going on. We think that the current economy is going to push people to continue to rent, and they're going to be looking for new housing options. And fortunately, Artistry, a CRDV brand, absolutely provides unique housing opportunities for people who want to rent. The second is Mosaic. Mosaic is our build and renovate for sale. Those properties are going to be, again, relatively affordable. And we're making sure that people have quality homes to live in. Last but not least, we have our Redrock Realty. And our Redrock Realty is our residential brokerage in Miami, Florida, where we help people find their dream homes.
And Lara, without giving away too many secrets, where do you see the future of the company? Are there any announcements that might be pending?
Oh, Pat, we always have good things happening at Community Redevelopment. Obviously, I can't tell you a whole lot of detail, but I will tell you that we are deeply committed to continuing to grow our portfolio. So watch for some additional announcements coming soon.
I look forward to it, Lara. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Lara Fritts, CEO, Community Redevelopment, Inc.